Hi guys, welcome to this video. My name is Laura from Shamanic Self, and today we're going to have a mixed bag of topics. I'm going to be sharing my screen, and it's going to be about Genesis, gender, planets, more on AI, which I think is personally the most interesting topic, mortgage, and a few other things. So before I start this off, I literally cannot ignore the technical issues. And before I do that, I want to point out this color is orange for people who comment on the colors. But, spring is close. We're almost there. Just a few more days, less than 2 weeks. And so before starting this video off, my picture app that I usually use just to share the screen, it's not opening anymore. Strange, mysterious. And that was literally after I had just downloaded a whole bunch of things, such as this here, that I really, 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 really wanted to share. And I'm just going to use this app. It's a different one. Usually I use the one that's comes with the computer. And it looks slightly better, but whatever. Anyhow, that was an interesting twist because for a split second there, I was like, what? I've had this PC for years and it's running fine, everything. Never had any issue. And then all of a sudden, the moment I was typing up the title for this video, which I usually do in some notes on the computer, oh, it's not working. The picture sharing app is not working. Very interesting. So that's something new. I also went through some of my older videos, I want to say from about a year ago. And I started noticing how they're really messing with my microphone quality over this past year and plus. It's been like more than also videos from like 2+ years ago. I use two different microphones. I use a few different microphones, but for videos like this, which don't require any editing, not the camera videos that I sometimes post, but for this here, I only have two different microphones. So when they're messing with either one of them, the quality, once you upload it, it's very annoying to say the least. And I personally do not like the quality. When I was going through videos, I did not like the quality from about a year ago. And I also think they changed it somehow, that they're changing it when they're uploading it, or they're changing it in hindsight somehow with whatever technology they have on YouTube and all these other platforms that you share your videos on. So that was definitely a bit of an eye opener where I was like, wow, of course, if people can't really hear you or if it doesn't sound good, then yeah, obviously, no one's really going to want to listen to the videos. But it's just another thing they're just throwing at us, right? Everyone who wants to get the word out there. So let's just go into the first topic. I think we're going to start with AI. I'm just looking at my notes where we could start. Oh, I forgot the eco frames. We'll do the eco frames if we get to them. But this is a woman. What you see here is a woman. She has a travel account on Instagram and a few other ones too. And so with her, the entire thing is the video that you see here, which I can actually put in the show notes. So just go to the description of this video. I'll put this link to it. I can't play it because then the copyright pings, even if it's on Instagram. Yeah, I can't risk it. So anyhow, when you play it, you see that her lips look very robotic. It looks like her. If you look at her other videos, it looks like her, but her lips look very robotic. And so she's basically saying, did you know this is an AI clone version of me? And it's basically an AI avatar. And I'm just going to read the description. This is insane. AI avatars like this are among us in 2024. What are your thoughts? While I don't think the robots will be taking over anytime soon, I am unnerved by how good these AI deep fakes are getting. I'm surprised a person like her even uses the word deep fake. Like, obviously, she has no idea of how advanced AI is at this point. She's just putting that video up there. And then, second of all, how can you just be so like naive to think this is the only, I mean, they're trying to replace every single thing with AI clones, including Instagram, including actors and everything. Like, how do you think this is even a good idea, or how do you think this is not a good, I mean, I just don't understand these people. I really don't. And then she says, this is not a trick. The video really is AI generated. Watch my mouth movements closely. It's the biggest giveaway. The fact people are doubting it just goes to show you have advanced AI, to show how advanced AI has become. So when you look at this video, when you play it, if you ever do want to play it, you see what she's talking about. It really does look like her, except for the mouth movement just looks very robotic. So usually the mouth doesn't look as robotic as that. It's a bit hard to explain when you can't really play it. And that is interesting because her eyes, everything looks similar. And we're talking about, you know, AI walking among us, like clones, the NPCs, which I'll discuss a comment about this in this video too later on. But basically, I mean, okay, her eyes already kind of give away that she might not be very organic either, right? That she might just be one of these NPCs or whatever that are being really pushed. And then so her account grew to like almost 300,000 followers on Instagram at this point. But with the mouth, yeah, that is interesting to me as well, because usually I just look at people's eyes and it's very easy to tell, especially if you go to their thumbnails and every single expression in their eyes is always the same, always the same, always the same. I'm like, oh yeah, this is just a clone. This is just an NPC. Like if they're blowing up like that, they're being pushed by the algorithm for a reason. Also, there's a lot of controlled opposition on all these platforms that we're on. So it's just another thing to consider. So this was definitely something that they're already having and that they're openly promoting, these AI avatars on Instagram, probably on TikTok, Facebook too. It's all connected, right? It's Meta, like TikTok maybe is not part of Meta yet, but Facebook and Instagram for sure are. So just look at WhatsApp as well, who you're interacting with on there. And so they have it on Instagram for sure. They have it on all these platforms. Another thing is they're replacing all actors with AI, and that's in full rollout right now. So do you remember when they were having all these strikes, not just with the writers in Hollywood, but also just the entire acting industry, that they wanted to have all these actors come in for auditioning, but while they're doing that, they would be recording them so that they could use them basically as an avatar, the way they're doing it here where she's showing, and they could basically just insert them and kind of flesh it out with whatever technology they have and kind of insert them in these movies to come. And once the actors, who might as well already be AI, right? But once these actors kind of got wind of that, they started striking. And then the moment they pronounced it, though, the moment they put that public, I think this was last summer. Was it 2022 or was it 2023? I think it was summer 2023, if I'm not mistaken. The moment this was up in the media, I was already like, well, this technology already exists. They're already using all the actors that already shot background characters or real characters or main characters in all these movies. They're already using all of the footage they have from them to put up these AI generated movies in the future, because that's literally what they want. So also interesting, but of course they have to disclose it to the public. And they kind of did that when all these actors went on strike. And then the actors right now think they're not being replaced by AI, when I'm pretty sure, and I know you guys are pretty sure too, or at least you know what's going on, but I'm pretty sure that this is already going on in the background, most likely over the past 5 or 10 years, if not longer. Because I just think back to 2012 and 2010-ish, I think it was more 2012-ish, when they started rolling out all these headshot, like they, you know, whenever these creepy headshots with a white background, everything came out. I think that was 2014-ish, 2015-ish. I was already thinking back then, this looks like an avatar. Whatever they're putting online, you know, oh, company history, this, that, whatever. It's not like a regular headshot that you used to have, that used to be a bit more creative, but everyone looks like an avatar. And that started around that time. I want to say it was 2012 to 2014-ish. I already started thinking then, okay, these are all avatars somehow, and some of these people don't seem real. And so this technology has already existed for a really long time. So replacing all actors with AI is already in full rollout. How are these movies going to look? They're literally going to look what movies look like. I mean, if you ever seen a movie lately, I think I saw one of the Avatar movies over this past year, and just to see what they're up to. I'm like, oh, what's the type of technology they're now pushing onto our children or future generations, and how many attacks are in these movies. But when I saw that movie, it was already very clear, yeah, okay, they have such advanced technology, we can't even really envision it, but they're rolling all this stuff out right now. And so then earlier this week, okay, those are the videos that are now fully created with AI. They also have other types of videos, but I would have to dig through that and see what I can find for you guys. I think this gives you a good idea of what's really going on. So earlier this week, me and a friend who was visiting, and whenever a friend visits, it's always a good idea to just go to a museum or whatever. But we actually went to the Whitney Museum, which I hadn't gone to since 2018. I think it's been a while since I went to all these museums. I went to the MoMA last year for the first time since 2018 as well. At the MoMA, and I put this all over my TikTok account too, but at the MoMA, they had this huge modern AI generated thing, which was also really creepy because the longer I was staring at that, and this is the MoMA, not what you see here, the longer I was staring at it, the more I could feel my energy draining. So it was this really oversized projection of just the pixelated AI. Very draining, very, very draining. And so they're replacing all the organic art with this, it appears. And I mean, starting in New York City, if you go to Dubai, if you go to all these very rich cities in the Middle East is a good example because you see with Dubai, what I already spoke about within a few videos down, where they had this tunnel and there's a high-speed train going through a tunnel underground, like under the water, all of that. But if you go to Dubai, everything's AI in Dubai already, right? So they're having it in all these cities, but New York City is always a good landmark to kind of start and see what's happening as well. I feel it's still very much a bridge between a few different worlds here. Whereas if you go to China, if you go to Saudi Arabia, Dubai, all of that, they're really, really trying to get rid of every single culture and tradition that's left in those countries. They're doing that all over. So the Whitney has this. They have this new installation by, I gotta look at my picture on my phone, Harold Cohen, and it's titled Aaron or Aaron, Aaron. And of course, all these artists have a Jewish background. Harold Cohen, Cohen's a Jewish last name for people who don't know. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of his, I thought his brother, his brother Moses. So that's how you know they all have this Jewish background. Of course, they're all being pushed in the art industry. The entire art industry is so infiltrated because, first of all, it's not even about talent, right? It's more about connections and who's like the deep fake and who do they want to push in galleries. So I stopped being interested in the art industry a long time ago when I started noticing his, being an artist myself, photography, but not painting. But being an artist myself, I started noticing it doesn't even matter how good you are. Whoever is exhibited in this gallery or in this collection either has connections or they're somehow being pushed for whatever reason. And a lot of times, I do hate to say this, but a lot of times if you are one of these minority races, such as African American or maybe Asian or whatever, and they have this thing going on where they really want to make right whatever wrongs they did in the past, you're going to have your lucky year and be featured in it. But then a few years down the line, no one's really going to remember you. So it's not just with being of a certain ethnicity or race, but it's like that with a lot of trends that you see in the art industry. So this person, Harold Cohen, I'm pretty sure he's been around forever. Yeah, I'm just not familiar with his work before, but he basically has the earliest artificial intelligence AI program for art making. So this is some of his art. Also interesting, while I'm trying to read this, they keep putting the image away. So I keep having to retap it over and over again. This is on my phone. And this is basically what he looks like. This is the projection. So this is him. And this started in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken, 70s, 80s, up until early 2001. And, I was so surprised because for me, it was clear what they're trying to pull off with this exhibit. First of all, they're normalizing it and they're being like, oh, this AI has been around. And this is more like computer generated art, not necessarily AI the way we know it, but more like the AI that we like to talk about is like the new, fresh. But this is literally older ones, right? So this is a machine and it has thousands and thousands of codes and programs, and it will never run out of a code to make you look the way that you're supposed to look, basically. And I don't want to talk about this like super long because I know some people aren't interested in it, but this is some of the artwork from like 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. Looks very robotic, looks very soulless. he did paint out a lot of these by hand. So the color is done by a human or someone who's supposed to be a human. And then all these shapes are done by this machine. And so with this cute little installation and exhibit, they're trying to normalize AI. Oh, it's been around for so long. It's been around since the 70s. Similar how when they had this exhibit in the MoMA, they had this observation surveillance exhibit, which I talked about a year ago. They were like, oh, but cameras have been around since the 60s, 70s, 80s. Why are you scared of it now? You know, just that kind of stuff. So he started doing this. He lived from like 1928 to 2016. He had a software. He named it Aaron or Aaron in the early 1970s. And, oh, sorry, his brother is not Moses, but it kind of refers to the Moses in the Bible, supposedly. He devoted his life exploring the potential of artificial intelligence to translate an artist's knowledge and process into code. So basically, he puts all these codes into this machine, and then you have these different shapes, like figure shapes, face shapes, facial features, everything. And then you have this strange art, which doesn't even look great, honestly. If you just look at a regular art piece and you look at this, it really doesn't look great. So yeah, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I don't like this at all. Like, why are we normalizing this? Whereas the person I was with, they were like, they weren't really fazed by it. You know, they kind of didn't really understand why this is so controversial and bad. And I was like, well, what if they replaced every single painting with this type of stuff? Would you still like it? Because this person was actually a painter herself. And this person doesn't believe anything's really going to be replaced like that. And I'm like, well, you just watch, because you know what is already being replaced at this point? Bakery. Okay. So what does it say right here? This new New York City bakery uses AI to bake their bread. The Bougie Bakery, heading to New York City this spring, will be the first bakery in North America to use AI fermentation technology to make sourdough. At this point, you don't even need bakers anymore. Can you believe this? Is this astonishing? I mean, for people who've been following this, no, this is not astonishing at all. It's just the path they want, the path they want you on, right? So there was one person, I'm not sure if this person commented on my channel or if I just saw that comment floating around, but there was a person saying, oh, my job is never going to be replaced by AI. And then I wanted to know, well, what's your job? And they said physical therapist. This is 2 years ago. And I was just like, what do you mean not going to be replaced by AI? They're replacing every single job with AI at this point. So a physical therapist, they're just going to put a robot there somehow or whatever. I mean, you just use your imagination, right? Oh, I think this person commented on one of my TikTok videos a year ago. That's right, because so many people wouldn't believe all the things that I posted on there. So this is rolling out right now. And the AI part of this video is getting very lengthy. Didn't expect that. Also interesting is the eternal light bulb. Not sure I mentioned it, but the eternal light bulb has been running for over 120 years already. And they're saying here, it's cited as strong evidence of how products are purposely made not to last in modern technology, because this one is from 1901. Yeah, go figure. I mean, we all know this, right? We also know that electricity itself should be absolutely free, like free electricity according to the Tesla model too. But no, now they're charging you an arm and a leg for it. And then they're doing all the hot summers and cold winters so that you basically need electricity. You need electricity for everything, even to record this video. How much electricity you just need for that, right? And in addition to internet outages and everything else going on. So that was the AI. We're going to move on to mortgage meaning. Mortgage is an old English term derived from two French words, mort and gage, mortgage. Well, it's also derived from Latin, and it means dead pledge or death pledge. To be enforceable, the mortgage must be signed by the owner, meaning the borrower, acknowledged before a notary public, and recorded with a county recorder or a recorder of deeds. A lot of recorders in that sentence. And so I pulled up a few more articles. It's no surprise that mortgages often get a bad rap. You might assume that the death pledge relates to either the painful process consumers must endure on the road to home ownership, Or maybe you associate signing mortgage papers with signing your life away. I'm pretty sure some people associated that with a mortgage for sure. You know, some mortgages last 30, 40, 50 years. Yeah, that's your entire life. If you get a mortgage at 20 years old and people only turn 70, or they only want them to turn 70, yeah, that's your entire life for sure. Language is ever changing, the article states, and we are confident that in the near future, the word mortgage will have a more positive connotation. And we need to look at the past and the associations that stem from it. So they're basically just saying that it comes from a certain era where the mortgage, you know, like the death and then the pledge. And then I looked at, what does pledge mean? A solemn promise or undertaking. Okay, I mean, it's just the definition of it if you want to take it as simple as that. So that's mortgage, mortgage for you. Someone is having a mortgage right now. Maybe you can confirm that's how you feel. And when I looked up this mortgage and I saw the Google symbol, because when I'm recording this, it's the Women's Day. They're giving a woman one day. Or do the men have a day as well? Or is this the twisted reality of every day is men's day, only a woman gets one day or whatever? I don't even want to really go into that, but whenever they do this inequality stuff, it always makes you wonder, where were things really that unequal before? Or is all of this just another program? Yes, I do realize the history of women being able to vote and all of that. That's not what I'm really talking about, but it's just kind of, it causes more separation than really making you feel great about it, right? If you just think about it. So the gender symbols are this here. The woman symbol is a cross, a reverse cross. The male symbol is this arrow. Now, where does this actually come from? Looking at this definition right here, the gender symbols are frequently used to represent and distinguish individuals based on their gender identity or biological sex. The most widely recognized gender symbols are the circle above a cross, always the circle, you know, the loop, the circle, signifying female, and the circle below an arrow pointing diagonally upward to the right, signifying male. And what it actually means is, because they also have, when you put them both together, it's androgynous or hermaphrodite. I mean, herma or herm, and then Aphrodite. And I know you pronounce that in a different way. It's in botany, by the way. But the word Aphrodite is in this. So Hermes and Aphrodite is both in hermaphrodite. Isn't that interesting? And so that's when you put both signs together. It's also intersex, so in between sex. And I saw this one post on Quora. What is the meaning of the male and the female symbols? The female is the mirror of Venus, and the symbol for males is the shield and spear of Mars. So it actually comes back to Venus and Mars, which are the planets, right? Also so interesting. And Venus, isn't Venus Aphrodite, if I'm not mistaken? Isn't that one and the same? How did male and female symbols come into being? Who created them? Good question. Let's see if we can find an answer for that. I'm not sure we can. But if you kind of look at how they're using planets, see, this is, you know, I put all these things out before recording this video, and I hope it's still recording, by the way. That would be like the kicker of this entire thing with all the technical issues that were already going on. But basically, they're the planets, the gods, all of that, right? They're all just using this. And now they're putting these two genders on you, and you're basically governed by either Venus, which is Aphrodite, if I'm not mistaken, or you're governed by Mars, which Mars, the ruler Mars, like the planet of Mars, like Mars in and of itself is supposed to be very angry. And they're trying to make the men angry, right? Like that's the agenda that they're having: angry men and unfulfilled women, and both together a disaster. And that's why you have all these couples therapies, and just through society in and of itself, you can never be happy wherever you are. The astrological symbols have been used as a shorthand for thousands of years. The male symbol represents the harpoon and arrow. The female symbol is the mirror. She spends more time to take care of her beauty. And the male has to hunt for food or go to war. Females has to work at home, spend time on her beauty. Okay. Yeah, according to mythology. The male is sometimes symbolized as a farmer, and the female is symbolized as a farmland. Also interesting. Mars is the god of war. Venus is the goddess of love and beauty. Yeah, that's Aphrodite right there in your face. So that was interesting. And now I want to move on to Genesis. Genesis is it's, if you look at the word root and origin of it, word forming element meaning birth, origin, creation, from Greek Genesis, origin, creation, generation, from gignestai, I have no clue how you pronounce that, by the way, to be born, related to genus, genos, Genos, race, birth, descent. From the root gene, give birth, beget, with derivatives referring to procreation and familial and tribal groups. Then you have angiogenesis, which refers to the development of new blood vessels, biogenesis, and polygenesis. Right below that, we're something on Babel or Babel, capital of Babylon, now a rune near Hila in Iraq. All these sites are in what's now war zones, and they never want you to go there. Genesis, Old English Genesis, first book of the Pentateuch, which tells, among other things, of the creation of the world. From Latin, Genesis, generation, nativity. From Greek, Genesis, origin, creation, generation. To be born. It comes from Hebrew, bereshith, or bereshis, literally in the beginning, which was the first word of the text taken at its title. So you obviously have a book of Genesis if you go to the Bible. And it's about the story of how a God created the world and dealt with all humanity until he initiated a personal relationship with their forefather, Abraham. So that's what Genesis is supposedly about. Okay, let me look at what else I have. Oh, there's a transgender World Cup. And then I put as a note the meaning behind that. We're talking about gender, everything. Let's see here. I think there were a few really interesting comments that I just wanted to talk about very briefly. So one comment, this is from Mike. He was saying, interesting, trap spelled backwards is part. If we play their part, do we fall into trap? So that was in relationship to this entire soul trap theory. I think this is from Atusa. I'm not 100% sure, but whoever wrote this, for a while, I was like, why I cannot notice and feel the same sky in pictures from South Korea and Iran. I mean, the light seems the same to me in pics, but not in the sky of Europe in pictures. It seems and feels the same to me. China has power over Iran too. So that was the video on the three suns. Someone else mentioned, I wanted to change this picture to a prettier one. That was it, yeah. Someone else mentioned that they live off grid and they have still been attacked by this technology that I mentioned in the fake sun video. So it's basically the technology that's bombarding you through Wi-Fi mostly, but through pretty much everything at this point. Sonia Verardo said, I find this video very intriguing. So that was the key video. Just a few weeks ago, I had a strong vision of the antique key that unlocks the secret tale of 4 silver moons. Didn't have a clue of what that was all about, but since then I kept drawing antique keys just like the one from my vision. Your perspective on it opens up some horizons for me, something to think about. I love antique keys. I've always been drawn to keys, and I do know one of my missions has to do with the keys and just getting all the keys somehow together, kind of like uncovering, discovering them on how we can get out of this matrix concept. But keys are fascinating. And the keys came up in particular when I was talking about being in Jerusalem, but then also I had a different video, I think, on Cyprus and how Cyprus has a whole bunch of keys, or just certain areas in the world. If you go to these other biblical sites like Jordan, parts of Israel, parts of Egypt, and everything. There was another comment. Oh, actually, I'm going to go to one of these. Sorry, this is a bit unorganized, but Ben was saying, AI never left. We are in a type 2 civilization. Yes, I agree with that. And these other comments are in line with that. So there are two comments. One is saying, I agree with you on so many things, but I can't seem to wrap my mind around some people being AI or robots. For me, it seems too far out there. I don't believe our tech is so evolved. Well, you have no idea what's out there if you don't believe that. I also don't like how people call others NPC. Maybe they've lost part of their soul, but NPC seems condescending to me. Nevertheless, your videos are good. Keep up the good work. Okay, so I understand that some people literally say NPC to every single person out there who they don't like. And that's very common right now in the truther community. Oh, you're just an NPC. Get out of my feed, get out of my live stream, whatever. That's not necessarily how I mean that. And I've been talking about this since 2020 on, by the way. I've had, even on my old channel, I've had this video where I was having pictures of people with dead eyes, with soulless eyes. I haven't reposted it on this one yet because I actually want to come up with a new video of that. But also the issue with that was because some of them were actually people I knew, like from my own personal life. I don't want people coming across my channel and then sending that to my former friends or whatever. And I'm just, you know, it's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, I can't really take these celebrities because then, you know, what if they come after me? But if I take people out of my own personal life, I can't really do that either, because what if they discover it? And then, you know, it's just not a good thing. So I still have to come across some proper pictures that I can actually use. But that aside, I already gave you a hint with the eyes. A lot of it is in the eyes. And you will find that if you are following thumbnails on social media, you will find a lot of that. If it just looks the same over and over again, yeah, it's pretty much soulless. Now, there are different scenarios. There's different type of AI. There is the type of AI that where people kind of were converted slowly over lifetime to AI, and they have lost parts of their soul or sold parts of their souls to the devil. But there is literally AI out there. Some of it is only 100 years old. Some of it is only 50 years old. Some of it is thousands of years old. They never had a soul, and they were just created, I don't want to say by accident, but for the lack of a better word, yeah, they were created by accident, by the souls, by the gods, by the rulers, whoever was here first. And those are like the old souls, or, you know, people who kind of were tricked to come here, or maybe they were on a mission to come here and they wanted to get out, in and out, in and out. It didn't work out that way. So I think this just deserves a whole new video because it's just so elaborate. But there's different types of AI. And this is in the next comment will make sense too. So the next comment is, when did AI get invented and become a thing in the omniverse? Omni means everything. So I guess where we are right now is what that person means. It's ancient, I understand. It seems to be in control everywhere, or too many places. Why are so many beings AI consciousness? And why has this been allowed to go on throughout the universe? Because AI was taken, the souls were taken over by AI. It was like the system error, just similar to the error that I just had where I couldn't use my picture app. Similar to that, it's just an infiltration. It's like a virus almost. If source or God really is as powerful as we're led to believe, why has he, she let so much crap happen for so long? Well, that's a philosophical question that deserves a longer answer. And if you just think you're part of source, then you're basically the one who's letting this crap happen for so long. If you want to look at it that way, which a lot of people don't want that, because they want this outside savior, this outside force to have everything under control. And that's usually source or God, whoever God is. And most people, what I always find so funny, even people will never admit to this, most people do think God is a male. If you want to look at genders, most people do not envision God as a female. They always envision him as a male. And I know no one's ever going to admit that, especially the hardcore Christian religious people. But so if you're already assigning a gender to your God, then that God is not impartial, you know. So anyhow, I think this deserves a longer video, but those are some interesting comments that I received. And another one actually has to do with Daryl Anka, which is Bashar. I just want to read this before I close this video off. There are quite a few issues with Daryl Anka. The first one is that Daryl saw a triangular UFO. Those are military vehicles. However, he was led to a channeling workshop through a series of synchronicities, and that's where he started channeling the Bashar entity. That is another issue. When that happens, you are being guided by deceptive forces. Everything seems good until it all falls apart and are left stranded where you began. The third issue is that he absolutely refuses to talk about anything regarding dark spiritual entities and the elite. He basically tells his audience to ignore them and to think positive thoughts so they can manifest their desired reality when they are persistently sabotaging the lives of ordinary people through different means. The fourth issue is that channeled information ultimately cannot be verified. It seems like a real phenomena, but there is a hidden technology that certain intelligence agencies use to interface with the human mind and download information. Now I can't even move this one thing around. Okay. They broadcast information to promote occult ideas in the guise of light and spiritual self-empowerment, but they are putting agendas forth to try and change the belief systems of the masses for their own purposes. And they wrote forth as the number 4, so Fourth, which is also interesting because we just had March 4th, which is marching forward, right? Like the date, the 4th of March, March 4th. I mean, numbers and words, they all interact with each other. Those are just a few things that I wanted to discuss in this video. I hope this helps somehow. And I hope the next one is going to work more smoothly, but you never know. And at this point, I just want to get the word out there. Let me know what you think. And thank you so much for your comments, for participating, for watching this, for everything, basically. If you're new to this channel, definitely subscribe and see you in the next one. Until then, bye guys.